Your morning decides whether you'll live the day as a conqueror or as a survivor, reacting to chaos. You've built the perfect morning routine dozens of times. Wake at 5, meditate, train, healthy breakfast, plan the day. Monday, you execute everything. Tuesday, you still try. Wednesday, you're already negotiating. Just today, I'll wake later. Thursday, the routine is dead, and you promise to restart next week. This cycle repeats because you haven't understood what Miyamoto Musashi knew 400 years ago. The morning isn't preparation for battle. The morning is the battle itself. Win it, and the rest of the day flows. Lose it, and you spend the next 16 hours chasing your own tail. In 21 days, you can transform your morning from battlefield into automated sacred ritual. But only if you accept this doesn't happen with motivation. It happens with relentless architecture. The productivity industry sold you the fantasy of the perfect morning routine with 15 different activities, 45 minutes of elaborate ritual, ambient music, and gratitude journal. All beautiful, all inspiring, all completely unsustainable. Musashi woke before dawn, cold water on face, brief meditation, intense training, and started the day. Simple, brutal, replicable in any condition. He didn't need motivation because he built a system that worked when he was exhausted, when he was wounded, when winter froze everything. His morning routine had zero fat, zero dependence on mood, zero failure points. In the next 21 days, you'll build the same type of system. 3 non-negotiable pillars that take 20 to 30 minutes total and work even on the worst days. This script isn't motivational theory. It's a war protocol, tested by centuries of warriors who woke knowing that failing in the morning meant dying in the afternoon. You'll learn exactly what to do on days 1 through 7 to break the pattern of morning negotiation. Days 8 through 14 to install the 3 pillars that sustain any day. Days 15 through 21 to automate everything until waking correctly is as natural as breathing. On day 22, you won't have a morning routine anymore. You'll have the identity of a person who dominates the first hour of the day. And people who dominate the morning dominate life. But this starts tomorrow at 5 in the morning, not next Monday when conditions are better. Conditions never improve. You improve despite them. Why your morning routine collapses every week. Your morning routine dies for the same reason 97% of routines die. You built it on a foundation of motivation and willpower, 2 resources that disappear on the first difficult day. Monday, you wake excited because it's a fresh start. The energy of change carries you. But Wednesday, you slept poorly, you're tired. Your body begs for 5 more minutes, and in that moment, you negotiate. Just today, I'll wake a bit later. Tomorrow, I'll return to normal. But tomorrow has another excuse, and the day after another, and within a week, the routine is dead. Musashi understood that the most dangerous moment isn't when you're tired. It's when your mind offers the first negotiation. Because if you negotiate once, you prove to yourself that the rules are flexible. And flexible rules aren't rules. They're suggestions you ignore when convenient. The second fatal error is excessive complexity. You build a routine with 10 activities. Wake early, make bed, drink water, meditate 20 minutes. Gratitude journal, read 10 pages, train 40 minutes, cold shower, elaborate breakfast, review goals. In the first days when motivation is high, you manage. But on the first day, you wake late or have an early commitment, the entire routine collapses because there are 10 failure points. Miss one, feel you've already failed and abandon the other 9. Musashi had a morning routine of 3 non-negotiable elements: awakening, physical purification, training. Simple, fast, no possible excuses. Even wounded, even exhausted, even in impossible conditions, these 3 happened. Complexity kills consistency. Brutal simplicity creates immortality. The third error is not having an emergency version. You built a routine for the perfect day, where you have time, energy, and 0 surprises. But real life doesn't work that way. There will be a day you slept 3 hours. There will be a day your child woke sick. There will be a day you need to leave at 6 in the morning. If your routine doesn't have a minimum version for these days, you abandon it completely. Musashi had a complete version for normal days and an absolute minimum version for war days. Wake on time and cold water on face. 2 minutes total, 0 possible excuses. This kept the pattern alive even in total chaos. In the next 21 days, you'll correct these 3 errors by building a routine with 3 characteristics: morning non-negotiability, 3-pillar simplicity, and 2-minute emergency version. But before building, you need to understand the difference between doing a checklist and practicing sacred ritual. The samurai concept of sacred ritual versus motivational checklist. A motivational checklist is a list of tasks you complete to feel productive, to post on social media, to say you have a morning routine. You wake up, check the boxes, and move on to the rest of the day without anything really changing in you. It's mechanical, empty, performative. It exists to generate temporary feeling of control, not to transform who you are. That's why it dies in a week when novelty passes and you realize you're just creating more work without real purpose. Samurai sacred ritual is completely different. When Musashi woke before dawn, it wasn't task number 1 on the list. It was an act of reverence to the principle of discipline. Each movement had intention, each action had meaning. Cold water on face wasn't just waking up, it was symbolic purification, cleansing sleep and entering war state. The difference isn't in what you do, it's in why and how you do it. Ritual transforms ordinary action into sacred through total presence and clear intention. You can do 15 push-ups as a checklist, counting distractedly while thinking about the day, or you can do 15 push-ups as ritual, feeling each muscle, breathing intentionally, remembering you're forging a body that serves your will. The physical action is identical, the psychological effect is vastly different. Musashi didn't train with the sword to fulfill obligation. He trained as communion with the art that defined his existence. Each movement was prayer in action form. When you transform your morning routine from checklist to ritual, something profound changes. You stop doing these things to get to the end of the day and start doing them because they're expression of who you're becoming. Waking early stops being sacrifice and becomes act of self-respect. Training stops being effort and becomes devotion to the body that carries you. Meditating stops being task and becomes return to essence. To convert checklist to ritual, you add 3 elements. First, declared intention. Before starting each action, you say mentally or in a low voice the purpose. Cold water to awaken the warrior. Breath to center the mind. Movement to honor the body. Seems strange at first, becomes powerful with repetition. Second, total presence. During the action, only the action exists. Don't plan the day while training. Don't think about problems while meditating. One thing at a time completely. Third, conscious closure. Upon finishing 1 second of acknowledgement, completed, I'm stronger than yesterday. These 3 elements take 0 extra time, but completely transform the experience. In the next 21 days, each action of your morning will be ritual, not task. But ritual without the golden rule is a sand castle, and the golden rule protects everything. The golden rule: never negotiate with yourself in the morning. The moment the alarm sounds is the most important battle of the entire day. It's not exaggeration, it's not dramatic, it's literally true. Everything that happens in the next 16 hours is direct consequence of how you deal with the first 5 seconds after waking. If you open your eyes and immediately negotiate just 5 more minutes, you just prove to yourself that your rules are optional, that your word to yourself has no value. And if it has no value at 5 in the morning, it won't have value at 10 when you need to make a difficult call. Won't have it at 3 in the afternoon when you need to train. Won't have it at 9 at night when you need to sleep early. Musashi had an absolute rule. When the body awakens, you rise immediately without negotiation, without just a bit more. Not because waking is pleasant, but because each time you keep your word to yourself, you vote for the identity of a reliable person. And each time you negotiate, you vote to be someone who doesn't respect their own commitments. The mind is a brilliant strategist at creating justifications to break rules. I only slept 4 hours yesterday. I need to recover. It's too cold today. Health is more important. I'll wake at 5, but today I'll wake at 6 and compensate tomorrow. All sound perfectly reasonable in the moment. All are pure poison. Because if you accept an exception today, your mind will create an exception tomorrow and the day after, until exception becomes the rule and rule becomes distant memory. Musashi faced this differently. He removed the capacity for negotiation through public commitment and consequence. He told students what time he'd wake and knew he'd be judged. He placed armor in a position where it was impossible not to see upon waking, visually reminding of warrior identity. He created social and psychological cost for failing that made sleeping more uncomfortable than rising. You'll do the same. The golden rule has 3 layers of protection. First layer, alarm far from bed, in location that requires getting up completely to turn off. Not beside you, not on the nightstand across the room or in another room. When you need to move physically to stop the sound, you've already broken sleep inertia. Second layer, public commitment. You'll declare in this video's comments, "I wake at time" for the next 21 days, and will report every day. Social accountability increases success rate by 400%. Third layer, immediate consequence. If you sleep past the alarm, you do 10 burpees immediately upon waking as physical punishment. Uncomfortable enough that waking on time is the less painful option. In the next 21 days, you don't negotiate, don't flex, don't make exceptions. Alarm sounds, you rise, period. This is the foundation upon which everything builds. Days cut to 7, the non-negotiable awakening. The first 7 days aren't about building complete routine. They're about mastering one single thing, waking at the agreed time without negotiation, every day, without exception. You may not do anything productive after waking this week. You can go back to the couch. You can waste the entire morning. But the alarm sounds and you rise immediately. This is the only success metric in week 1. Seems too simple to matter. It's exactly the opposite. Musashi spent months training only the movement of drawing the sword, nothing else. Not elaborate strikes, not advanced techniques, just drawing perfectly 1,000 times a day until it was instant and automatic. Because he understood that mastering the first movement is more important than learning 50 mediocre movements. Waking is the sword draw of your morning. Master this, and everything that follows becomes possible. Veil this and nothing else matters. Day 1 starts tonight, not tomorrow morning. Before sleeping, you make 3 preparations. First, define wake time and set alarm at maximum volume across the room, impossible to reach from bed. Second, leave a glass of water next to the alarm and workout clothes, even if you won't train yet, visible. Third, write on large paper day 17, I rise immediately, and tape it on the wall near the alarm. Tomorrow, when you wake, you don't think, don't analyze, don't negotiate. Alarm sounds, feet touch floor, you turn off the alarm, drink all the water, and declare out loud, day 1 complete. Then you can do whatever you want, go back to sleep if you really need to. But you proved you can win the first battle. And that proof is everything in week 1. Days 2 through 7, you repeat the exact same protocol. Alarm far away, water prepared, rise immediately, drink water, declare victory. Some days will be easy, others will be brutal war. On day 4 or 5, your body will test whether you're serious. You'll wake exhausted with a headache, with extreme cold, and everything in you will scream to break the sequence just today. This is the decisive moment. If you yield, the next 14 days are useless because you proved the rules aren't absolute. If you win, you permanently break the old pattern. Musashi said the warrior is tested not on easy days, but on the day when everything is against him, and he acts anyway. At the end of day 7, you'll have 7 consecutive victories. 7 votes of confidence in yourself. 7 proofs you're someone who keeps their word. This foundation allows building the 3 pillars in week 2, days 8 to 14. The 3 morning pillars: body, mind, intention. Now that you've mastered awakening, week 2 adds 3 5-minute actions each that transform waking early into complete routine. Not 15 activities, not an hour of elaborate ritual, just 3 5-minute pillars, totaling 15 minutes that work in any condition. First pillar, body. Musashi understood that waking isn't just opening eyes, it's activating the nervous system completely. He used icy river or waterfall water to shock the body into total alert state. You'll do the modern version, 60 seconds of cold water on face and neck, or if you're brave, complete 2-minute cold shower. Then 3 minutes of simple physical movement, 20 push-ups, 30 squats, 1-minute plank, anything that forces blood to circulate and muscles to wake. It's not a complete workout, it's ignition. 1 final minute of controlled deep breathing, 4 seconds inhaling, 4 holding, 6 exhaling, repeat 10 times. 5 minutes total, body completely awake. Second pillar, mind. 5 minutes of mokuso, sitting meditation in absolute silence. Not guided meditation, not ambient music, not app telling you what to do. Just you sitting, spine straight, eyes closed or half open, observing thoughts without attaching to any. In the first days, the mind will scream, will create false urgencies, will try to convince you there are more important things to do. Ignore everything. These 5 minutes aren't about achieving enlightenment or having mystical experience. They're about training the capacity to be present without being slave to each passing thought. Musashi did this for hours sometimes, but 5 consistent daily minutes produce more result than 1 occasional hour. Set timer, sit, breathe, observe. When timer sounds, you'll have clear and centered mind, ready for the day. Third pillar, intention. 5 minutes defining the 3 priorities of the day on paper. Not a list of 20 tasks, 3 things that if done today make the day undeniable victory. 1 body task, workout, walk, movement. 1 mission task, important project, critical work, significant progress. 1 relationship task, important call, quality time, necessary conversation. You write the 3 and write in 1 sentence what each means. Training isn't just moving body, it's honoring the vehicle that carries me. Working on X isn't just a task, it's building the future I want. Calling Y isn't obligation, it's investing in what really matters. This clarity of intention transforms mechanical action into meaningful action. Musashi never entered a day without knowing exactly what he needed to conquer. Days 8 through 14, you do the 3 pillars after rising. 5 minutes body, 5 minutes mind, 5 minutes intention. 15 minutes that decide the next 16 hours. Days 15 to 21, complete automation when it stops being effort. Between day 14 and day 21, profound neurological transformation happens. The 3 pillars that required willpower and conscious attention start happening almost automatically. Your body wakes at the time even before the alarm sounds. You go to cold water without internal debate about whether you want to or not. Sit to meditate without needing to convince yourself. Write the 3 intentions as reflex, not as task. This isn't magic, it's neuroplasticity. Your brain created neural pathway for this specific sequence of actions, and now it runs with minimum energy economy. Musashi took years to reach this point with his training, but he didn't have knowledge of habit formation you have now. 2 weeks of perfect execution are enough to begin automation. 3 weeks consolidate. But automation doesn't mean relax, it means intensify. Days 15 through 18, you add just 1 layer, total friction reduction. Everything you need for the 3 pillars must be prepared the night before. Movement clothes beside bed, meditation cushion or chair in position, notebook and pen on desk. You remove each micro-decision between waking and executing. Don't need to search for anything, don't need to prepare anything, just flow from 1 pillar to the next. Musashi slept in location already organized, so that rising and beginning ritual was the path of least resistance. When you wake and literally trip over workout clothes, when the meditation chair is waiting for you, when the notebook is open to the right page, execution becomes inevitable. These 4 days, you perfect the flow until the 3 pillars flow as one continuous 15-minute action. Days 19 through 21, you test the system under pressure. Purposefully create adverse conditions. Day 19, sleep 1 hour less than normal. Day 20, schedule very early commitment that compresses your morning time. Day 21, on the day you feel most tired or stressed, maintain execution. And even so, execute the 3 pillars, even if in minimum emergency version. Cold water 30 seconds, 10 push-ups, 3-minute meditation, 1 priority defined. Musashi tested his techniques purposefully in impossible conditions because he knew real battle never happens in ideal environment. When you prove you maintain the pillars on worst days, you completely remove the excuse of can't today. Every day can. At the end of day 21, you don't have morning routine. You have warrior identity that dominates the morning. And this identity is permanent if you protect it with the correct structure of the sacred hour. The sacred hour. What to do in the first 60 minutes. The first 60 minutes after waking are sacred territory that defines mental, emotional, and physical state for the next 16 hours. Most people profane this hour immediately. They wake, check phone, see work emails, read negative news, dive straight into world chaos without first establishing internal center. It's like going to war without armor, without weapon, without plan. Musashi treated the first hour of day as battle preparation. Nothing external had permission to enter until he was completely fortified internally. He woke, purified body, centered mind, defined strategy, and only then opened doors to the world. In the next 21 days, you'll protect your first hour with the same ferocity a samurai protected his sword. Because this hour doesn't belong to work, doesn't belong to family, doesn't belong to anyone except you and the process of becoming who you need to be. The structure of the sacred hour is intentional architecture in 4 blocks. Block 1, minutes 1 to 15. The 3 pillars you've already mastered: awakened body, centered mind, defined intention. This is non-negotiable core that happens without exception. Block 2, minutes 16 to 35. Deep work on the dragon. 20 minutes of total focus on the most important task of the day. Without interruption, without phone, without distraction. It's not to complete the entire task, it's to move the ball significantly before the world starts making demands. Musashi trained the most difficult technique right after morning ritual because mind was fresh and without noise. You do the same with your most important work. Block 3, minutes 36 to 50, strategic nutrition. 15 minutes preparing and consuming meal that fuels body and mind, not just fills stomach. Protein, good fat, nothing processed. Eat slowly, chewing completely without screen in front. Food is fuel, treat it as such. Block 4, minutes 51 to 60, intentional transition. 10 minutes reviewing the day ahead, visualizing success in the 3 priorities, mentally preparing for expected challenges. You don't enter the day reacting. You enter proactively, with total clarity of where you're going and how you get there. Musashi did this before each duel, mentally went through the sequence of movements, visualized victory, identified possible traps. When the duel began, he'd already fought mentally 3 times. You do the same. These 4 blocks in 60 minutes create unstoppable momentum. When this hour ends, you've already woken victoriously, already strengthened body and mind, already advanced important work, already fed body correctly, already prepared day strategy. The rest of people are waking now and checking Instagram. You've already won the day. But this hour needs to be shielded against invasions, and shielding requires specific protocol. How to shield the morning against invasions and emergencies. The biggest threat to your morning routine isn't laziness. It's the external world invading your sacred territory with demands disguised as urgencies. Urgent email that needs immediate response. Work message that can't wait. Family member calling early because they know you're already awake. News you need to know now. None of these things are actually urgent. All seem urgent because you haven't established clear boundaries. Musashi understood that warrior without boundaries is dead warrior. He created physical perimeter around training space that nobody crossed under any circumstance. Visitors could wait, messages could wait, everything could wait until training finished. You need to create the same perimeter around your sacred hour. And perimeter isn't polite suggestion, it's non-negotiable wall with clear consequences for anyone trying to cross. First layer of shielding, absolute airplane mode. Phone not just silenced, completely in airplane mode or turned off, stored in closed drawer in another room. Not just leave it aside, physically inaccessible. Computer without internet access, Wi-Fi off, email closed. You cut all connection with digital world during sacred hour. If real emergency arises, family knows how to find you physically. Everything that comes digitally can and will wait 60 minutes. Musashi trained in remote locations where nobody could interrupt him. You create digital isolation that produces same effect. Second layer, prior communication of boundaries. You tell family, housemates, partner, from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. I'm unavailable. Don't interrupt me unless it's literally life or death. First time someone tests this boundary with non-urgency, you reinforce, I said I was unavailable. This can wait until 6 a.m. Boundaries without consequences aren't boundaries. Third layer, real emergency protocol. There will be a day when genuine emergency happens. Sick child, parent in hospital, situation that really can't wait. On those days, you don't abandon routine completely. You execute 2-minute minimum version. Wake on time, cold water on face, 3 deep breaths. 1 intention sentence. Today, I care for what matters. 2 minutes total. Then you deal with emergency. Why do this? Because maintaining the thread of sequence, even microscopically, is difference between restarting from zero and continuing momentum. Musashi had days where he couldn't train completely, but always did at least one sword movement. That one movement kept identity alive. Your 2 minutes do the same. With these 3 layers, your morning becomes impenetrable fortress. But fortress without plan for when walls eventually fall is illusion of security. You need the anti-relapse system. The anti-relapse system for when everything falls apart, you will break the sequence. It's not question of if, it's question of when. There will be a morning you sleep past the alarm. There will be a week when travel destroys entire routine. There will be a moment when sickness or crisis makes it impossible to maintain the pillars. This is inevitable because you're human living in unpredictable world. The difference between person who builds permanent routine and person who lives in start-stop-restart cycle isn't in never failing. It's in having recovery protocol that activates immediately after failure. Musashi lost duels in training sometimes. The difference is he didn't interpret defeat as sign he should quit. He interpreted it as information about what to correct. On the same day of defeat, he returned to training, adjusted the technique that failed, and continued. You'll do exactly this with your morning routine through 3-layer recovery system. First layer, 1-day rule. You can have one bad day where everything fails, but never under any circumstance can you have 2 consecutive days of total failure. 1 day is accident, 2 days is pattern. If you woke late today, tomorrow is absolutely non-negotiable to wake on time, even if you execute minimum version. This rule alone prevents single slip from transforming into total collapse. Second layer, failure analysis in 3 questions. On the day you break sequence, before sleeping you take paper and answer, what specifically caused the failure? Slept late, alarm didn't sound, real emergency. What can I change in the system so this doesn't happen again? Sleep at 10 p.m. without exception, have backup alarm, create better emergency protocol. What's the minimum version I could have done even in this condition? At least rise and drink water. These 3 questions transform failure into system upgrade. Third layer, immediate restart with counter reset. When you break perfect day sequence, you don't lose everything, you just reset counter, but maintain all neurological progress. If you were on day 15 and failed, you don't go back to beginner. You're someone with 14 days of evidence of capacity who had 1 bad day. Tomorrow you restart day 1 of counter, but with all neural pathways already built. It's infinitely easier than starting from real zero. Musashi saw mastery as cycles of build, break, rebuild stronger. Each time you restart after failure with improved system, you become more resistant. Implement these 3 layers now. Write the one-day rule in visible place. Create document with the 3 failure analysis questions. Mentally prepare for possibility of breaking and knowing exactly how you return. With this, failure stops being end and becomes just temporary turbulence on the path. And when you maintain this long enough, something permanent happens. From morning routine to warrior identity. There's a magic moment somewhere between day 21 and day 60 where you stop having morning routine and become person whose identity is dominating the morning. It's no longer something you do, it's something you are. People who don't know you well might even comment, "You have so much discipline," but you know it has nothing to do with discipline. You simply wake early because people like you wake early. You do the 3 pillars because it's who you are. There's no internal struggle, no debate, no conscious effort. Action flows naturally from identity. Musashi reached this point where training wasn't daily choice. It was automatic expression of who he was. Warriors train, therefore he trained. Not because it was inspiring or because he felt like it, but because it was incompatible with his identity to do otherwise. You'll reach the same place through sufficient accumulation of evidence. Each morning, you conquer. The alarm is a vote for disciplined person identity. Each time you execute the 3 pillars is proof you're someone who keeps word to themselves. Each day you protect the sacred hour is demonstration you're someone who honors what's important. After 21 days, you have 21 votes, 21 proofs, 21 demonstrations. Your brain looks at this mountain of evidence and starts updating self-image. Maybe I'm not person who quits easily. Look at everything I've done. After 60 days, the evidence is overwhelming and identity change is complete. You no longer need to convince yourself to do the routine. It would be harder not to do it because that would violate who you've become. And when identity changes, everything changes. People with warrior identity don't just wake early. They face challenges differently, make decisions differently, live differently. In the next 21 days, you're not just building habits, you're forging new identity. Each perfect execution is hammer-striking steel. Each recovery after failure is tempering in fire. Each protection of sacred hour is blade sharpening. In the end, what emerges isn't slightly improved version of who you were. It's warrior Musashi would recognize as equal. Someone who doesn't negotiate with themselves, who doesn't procrastinate important battles, who doesn't live reacting to chaos, but creating order through relentless discipline. And the most powerful part, once you master the morning, you prove to yourself you can master any area of life using exact same process. Morning routine is just training. The real conquest is discovering you're the type of person capable of total transformation when you decide it's non-negotiable. Start tomorrow. Master the morning. Become the warrior. You just received the complete map to transform morning from lost battlefield into dominated sacred ritual. It's not 15 impossible motivational activities to sustain. It's 3 brutally simple pillars that work in any condition. Awakened body, centered mind, defined intention. 15 minutes total that decide the next 16 hours. Days 1 through 7 you master waking without negotiation. Days 8 through 14 you install the 3 pillars. Days 15 through 21 you automate everything until it becomes identity. The secret isn't in motivation that disappears. It's in architecture that remains. Alarm far from bed. Preparation the night before. Minimum version for impossible days. Recovery system for when everything fails. Miyamoto Musashi didn't have elaborate morning routine because he understood that brutal simplicity is the only thing sustainable long term. He woke, purified, trained, started the day. 0 fat, 0 dependence on perfect mood, 0 unnecessary failure points. This approach kept him sharp for decades, while warriors around him burned in explosions of motivation, followed by months of inaction. You now have the same system adapted for modern world. Use it for the next 21 days without exception. And on day 22, you won't have morning routine to maintain. You'll have identity of person who dominates the start of day. And people who dominate the morning inevitably dominate life. The challenge now is direct. Comment below. I start tomorrow at time. 21 non-negotiable days, and describe your 3 pillars. Public commitment multiplies chance of success. If this video gave you clarity on how to build unbeatable morning, subscribe to the channel for more samurai protocols applied to modern life. Remember, the most important battle of the day happens in the 5 seconds after the alarm sounds. Win that and the rest flows. Lose that and you spend the day chasing your own tail. The choice is yours, but it needs to be made tomorrow morning, not next Monday when conditions are better. Conditions never improve. You improve despite them. See you in the next video, but only if you're waking victoriously.